That would be too. Let me know if that's too loud. Hi, Tess.
Hello.
There
There
we
we
go.
go.
Okay. Yes.
Hey.
Hi.
I can never find the effect that I like to use in my videos on the lives. And I was like,
Oh,
I'm trying to find it. Anyways,
the live's
so this
always
this
like
is
hit
this
or
is
miss.
me.
No.
Mm,
The left. Okay. All right. If you want to introduce yourself and give us a little information on yourself while we wait for everybody to come in.
yeah. Hey everybody. So my name is Tess Watters. I'm a Canadian, currently contemporary romance author at this time. Um, and oh god, I was feel like I'm like I know I'm here to talk about being an author and books, but I feel like real on the spot really quick there.
Oh no.
um yeah, I don't know. That's it. I wrote 3 books and I've got so many work in progresses
Ooh.
and looking forward to some more awesome stuff coming out this year. So
Ooh, I'm so excited. All
like
right, let's
like maybe
get.
even another audiobook. So that's what I'm excited about.
Oh, we're definitely going to need details on that.
Yeah.
Thank you again for coming in and talking to us. We appreciate it. Thank you for the audiobooks. We have been
Oh,
obsessed.
you're welcome.
Our group chat has been through the roof talking about like every chapter we're messaging each other. So it's been an
I love that. I
experience.
love that.
Hi. So
Hey,
how did
Derek.
you get into writing?
You know what? It's one of those things where, like, usually when I talk to authors, they say that it's something that they've always wanted to do since they were a kid, and it was not. I wrote something very very short when I was about 14, and I was like, "This is trash," and I threw it out.
Oh no.
Yeah, and like I don't know, there's like some definitely some ADHD qualities, so I tend not to finish a lot of the things I start. So, and it definitely was like that when I was younger as well. Hence the like it's trash, I'm just throwing it right out. It got hard, I'm not doing it. Um,
Right.
but I know just like a lot of other people like during COVID, like you're stuck in your house and you're trying to figure out ways to kind of handle the mental health and I have 2 children who are 9 and 11 now. So 4 years ago, they were quite young and they were here, and I work from home. So,
Oh man.
um, what happened for me was my self care was reading. So I signed back up for like Kobo Plus and the KU, and I read. I was like so proud of myself, and then I'm like, I didn't clean the house at all, but I read 170 books in 2021, right? And at the end of 2021, I was like, I could write a story, but there was no story in me at that
Okay.
time. And then I did that whole like, as this like the ADHD. It's like the guitar that's in my corner here that I've had for 35 years, and I still don't know how to play it. So it's not going to happen. And then I met a mother at the dojo that my kids go to, and I saw I think she was reading Priest, and instantly I was like, oh my god, like
Ooh,
this is my person. Like I
right.
need to connect with her. So we had this thing that we called it the dojo book club. So
Yay.
we started kind of connecting, and she told me she was writing a book. And the way that she explained it, it was as if she knew these people. She's like, they went to this school, they did this, they did that. And it blew my mind. And it was almost like the fact that she was doing it gave me permission to try because nobody else in my world writes.
Right.
Um, and just one day I was dropping off my kids at daycare, and I was walking home, and a story just hit me. And I spent the entire day figuring out what it was going to be, and it turned into Aubrey and Wolf's story. And so like that's where like I was just walking home. I'm like, okay, so like we've got a woman, and she has to be kind of forced home. Like, why would she be forced home? What would happen? And that's where it started.
Oh wow, that's awesome. I love that. that that was the beginning of their story.
Yeah, it was like,
I
and like just kind of like out of nowhere. And when you hear other authors talk, they'll say things like, like the characters really chose where they want it to go because, and I always thought, I'm like, that's bullcrap. Like, you're the author, you can control where they go,
right,
but you can't. I couldn't make Wolf be anything other than what he is.
right.
I had no way. Like he just came out that way. I wanted it to be like a true dark romance, and it's not. It's
Mhm.
contemporary with some dark themes.
Yeah.
But that's not who he was. And I kept trying
Okay.
to make him that. And he was like, nope, that's not who I am.
Now, in the later series, 'cause I know that there's multiple books, do you get darker as you keep going, or is
It
it
depends on
relatively the
what
same
like your
thing?
term. It's still about the same. There's still like
Mhm.
it's still a contemporary vibe. The funny thing is that I was actually thinking about making a TikTok about this, and it's just that I wrote a series, but each book feels completely different,
Yeah.
even though it's the same group of friends.
Hmm.
So book two is Nate and Violet's story. And it actually runs concurrent with, am I using the right word? It runs at the exact same time as Wolf and Aubrey's story. So it's the backside of
Oh,
theirs. Um, but without giving too much away because you haven't read it yet, but Nate is a dom, and so there's a lot that takes place at a club, and so there is some of the more of like the darker part just because of like the BDSM side of things,
right.
but in the same way, like Nate's still kind of like a cinnamon roll, even though he's an alpha, and you don't really get to see that in the first book.
Right.
But in the second book, like it's very clear. Like, and it's still the same tone. Like I was able to carry that through.
Hmm.
Um, because when I started writing the second book, the first book wasn't out yet. So I was able to kind of go back. I will never write a book like that again.
Oh
Where you
no,
write one and then write the backside. The
that sounds
timeline
stressful.
it was ridiculous. But I didn't like because I already kind of built some of the stuff that was going on between him and Violet through like the second half of the book. But you don't see them meet, but you
Hmm.
know that like he's like looking at Violet at Aubrey's birthday party and like he's all cranky about stuff. So I had to write that into their story. So
Okay. Yeah, that part
yeah.
I remember that scene you're talking about, kids, and I was just like, "Excuse me, what is
Yeah,
going on
what is
here?"
happening? Yeah, yeah, exactly. So, and just like when Nate talks to Wolf, and Wolf is like, what are you doing with my sister? And Nate's like, no, 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 like we're talking about my sister first,
Yep.
right? So he's a bit of a hypocrite, but it is what it is.
Oh, I was in love with the Wolf's character. My favorite thing was the banter between these two was just top notch. Like the way
Yeah.
she would just piss him off on purpose. I was just like,
Mm-hmm.
I
Yes.
was
Good
like,
job, girl.
continue.
Good job.
And he was just
Yeah.
getting so
Those
frustrated.
it was my favorite parts to write is those banters. And I will tell you, like, those are the parts that just kind of came out on their own. You know what I mean? Like they're not like I just sat there and I was like, ooh, like as I'm typing, I'm like, ha, this is good. And that's when you screenshot it and you send it to your friends and you're like, is this mouthy and sassy enough? Or is this more on like the bitchy side? Right? And you're
Right.
like, which one is it? Because you
Which one
you
is it?
gotta find that balance, right?
Oh no, I was outright cackling at some of the back and forth. And I just love how he was just like bracing himself for it because he's like, I know she's gonna be freaking difficult. Like, let's just get it over
Mm-hmm.
with. Oh,
Yeah.
I was dying. It was so fun.
So funny story. It was the book was just out for about a week or so, and my sister had it on her Kobo, and she was flying from from Nova Scotia to Ontario, and she kept laughing out loud. And like, so the people next to them were just like, next to her was like, what's going on? She's like, okay, so it's a book, but my sister wrote it. And they're like, well, what kind of book? And she's like, well,
Well,
like how do you tell strangers on a plane? Like,
right. A
it's a romance book, but
little darker.
a
No,
little more to it. Yeah.
I love to read and listen. So like I read your book and then I listened to it, and I
Oh,
knew
that's
this like
awesome.
it was coming up. Like I knew the banter stuff, but I was in the grocery store listening to the audiobook and I just like outright laughed and I was just like, oh! And like in my head, I already know what's happening because I already read it all. But I was just like, it just hit me again, and I was just like outright, like just pushing the curtains, busted up laughing, just like completely by
I
myself.
love
And
it.
the
I love it
stairs when
so
I got, I was
much.
like, if you guys heard what I heard, you would be laughing with me. Like,
Yeah,
oh
and the delivery and the performance by Andy and Brandon was phenomenal.
yeah, I think that's what
So,
got me too. Like, because I
yeah.
read it
Oh
before, and
yeah.
I giggled at like 3 a.m. Or reading it, but I
Yeah.
was like listening
Kick
to
your
it.
feet a little bit of
Yeah.
kick, feet kicking. Yeah.
Yes, I will. I will say that's why I love to read before I listen because it's usually a completely different experience. Because like I built them up in my
100%.
head, like I give them their like voices in my head, and then I go to the audiobook and it's completely different. I will say like the
Yeah.
audio was top notch, so I was not complaining at
I
all.
I agree. That was something I was really, really, really scared to do. Over the Moon came out in January of 2022, and when after just 2 months after Under the Stars came out, I had an issue with Amazon where something happened and they shut my account down. And I was very, very, very fragile as an author at the time. I had like no confidence in myself. I was having limited success when it came to page reads and things like that because I didn't know how to market. Nobody knew who I
Mhm.
was, and I wasn't paying for any ads or anything like that.
Mhm.
Um, so when I made the decision to actually do the audiobook, I was terrified because I was like, at that point I had like maybe 90 ratings on my book, like, and it's a big financial investment.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, but like right now, based off of the amount of sales that I have just for the audiobook, it will be paid off in probably about less than 6 months.
That's amazing.
I know, and I'm just like this little Canadian author who has never like written anything before. My husband's military, so that's why we're in Ontario, but we're from Nova Scotia. You would have noticed a lot of Canadian references, even though it takes place in Maine.
Mhm.
Um, like the fact that Aubrey went to school went to Dalhousie in Nova Scotia. That's not the university I went to. It was actually our rival.
Oh,
But when I was younger, I wanted to be an architect, and
oh,
that is where the architect program is at Dalhousie. So, and like I talk about Brothers Pepperoni, like that's a legit thing. That's the one thing I miss other than my family about being in Ontario because we can't get that here. So
okay.
all those like little tiny things, like that's all
I
like
love
from
that.
my life.
Did
Yeah.
you pour a lot of your own experiences, not only in that book, but the rest of the series? Are we going to be able to like notice you
Yeah,
in the books?
you may not notice, like you'd have to know me really well to pick up me in books 2 and book 3. Book 1, 100% Aubrey is like me but dialed up, right? So like the
Okay.
sassy attitude, the plus size, she like her confidence she's what I would want to be. Like that's what I want. And she actually has complexion. I am very ghosty. So like she's the woman that I would want to be. But like the attitude, that's 100% me. In book 2, I was really really nervous about writing the characters exactly the same. So I've read a lot of books where you're like, okay, like it doesn't matter what book I read from this author, the male is the same and the female is the same.
Right.
It doesn't matter because they write them the same, and I was really nervous about that.
Mhm.
Violet is, so I'll just give you like a little bit of a background without kind of ruining it, because I really do hope that you go and take a look at
Oh,
it.
we want to, yes.
Um, okay, good. So she was in a 24/7 relationship. She's not anymore. And she did that because of anxieties that she had. And so she needed that. And so some of my own anxieties were kind of put in there. And I was able to kind of explore the darker sides of me versus like the sassy sides, the confident sides. Violet's a little bit of the opposite, but then she comes out of her shell throughout the book, and she does it on her own. There's no like man that fixes it for her, even though Nate is definitely her man. So it was really cool to do. And the third book is Jack and Harper.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
And
I got a
Jack,
little, I saw a little bit of that too, in that book one.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. So and Jack, like they, I was really nervous about writing that one because it's definitely like that friends to lovers,
yeah,
and that's not a story that I would normally enjoy, but they were already there, and I was like, I need to complete this series, and that's the route that I went. Um, but I was able to explore who the two of them are, because you don't really, you see them a little bit through
right.
books one and book two, and like you see a lot of Jack, a lot of Jack's like poking fun. I know this sounds really funny because I know I wrote the book, but when the fact that like Jack asked her out on the date, and then Wolf is like, what did you do, like why did you do that? um I love that so much. And I know I wrote it, and I know that sounds really cheesy because I'm like, oh, I love the thing
No,
I did, but I love it.
I love when it plays well too. Like I said, the I was reading your first book and it was just so fun. I finished it in a day, and then when we got the audio,
That blows
I was
my
like,
mind.
okay. I was like, I'm gonna pace myself because I always get overly excited after I read a book to listen to it.
Hmm.
I sped through it. I was all day. I was like, shh. I was like, shh.
Yeah,
I need to
nobody
get
talk
this
to me.
done.
I'm busy.
Oh yeah, it was so good. I honestly, and I
I'm
we were about to start book two, and I was like, hold on, we need to wait till we talk to her before diving into book two, because I was like, I need everybody to be on the same page.
We're all on the same page. Yeah.
So
It's
we're definitely gonna dive in.
book two. So it's one of those things, like my books are spicy, but my such a, you did it in a day in audio. You guys are making
Yes.
me feel so good. Thank you
Oh,
so
so
much.
good.
Um it's the book two, and as I know like we kind of want to talk about what book one, because that's what you just read and listened to, but there is something about Nate and Violet's story that really hits home for me. And it is the spicier book out of the three because of the club scenes,
Okay.
right? And you get to see some new dynamics, and you still see, like, you still see Aubrey, you still see Wolf, you still see Harper and Jack, and Silas is still there, the cute little kid. So like that's all still there, but still they're in their own little world for a whole bunch of it, and to see that dynamic is really cool.
Oh, that's book two, Martha.
So book two is Under the Stars. So I like prepped myself. I'm like, I'll bring all my books. So
Yay!
this one here, Under the Stars. So
I will say I also love
um
your covers. I don't know if you designed them or not, but I thought they were so pretty.
thank you so much. It's so I have little kids, right? And when I started writing them, that was like almost, 2.5 years ago, and my kids were little, and I was like, okay, like if I'm going to do this and I'm going to publish, I cannot put a sexy man on the front, because my kids are going to want to see it. Because my
Right.
kids are my biggest fans. They've never
Oh,
read them, right? But they are my biggest fans. And the funny thing is that like I was trying to explain like the Lupin to the kids and how like it's really funny that it's called Over the Moon because lupins are poisonous to cows, right? So they're often called cow killers. And the book is called Over the Moon, and like the cow jumped over the moon. That's how I kind of explained it to the kids. And they're like, "There's a cow in there." I'm like, "No, there's no cow in the book." I feel like I've lost y'all, and that's okay.
I lost you in
So, but
explanation.
like, yeah, and my daughter, she's 9, and she's like, when I turn 18, I'm reading that book. And the funny thing is I know she's gonna like my there's no lock on my office, and my books are here on my shelf. Like I know that she's gonna sneak in when she's younger, so I got to be really careful. She needs to not read them.
There's okay. Yeah, I was talking about the covers. Ooh, is there a special edition?
Oh, yeah. Thanks, Marissa. Okay, so I'll explain how like the audiobook came to be because I did a Kickstarter last year.
Okay.
And with the Kickstarter, I offered a special edition hardcover. I don't have hardcovers sold anywhere else. And then there was like you get character art, which I have a picture. Give me a second. It's up on my wall. That's why I keep looking up. Just a second.
Marissa coming in clutch with the special
Oh
edition
no.
comment.
Yeah, I dropped Wolf, but anyway, so there's Aubrey.
I love those.
Oh, where is Wolf? I'm gonna get on the floor, so please excuse me for a moment. This is my dirty office. Okay,
I enjoyed the covers. I thought they were so pretty. I also thought they
there we
looked
go. There we go.
really good all together.
Yes, I love them. So there's Wolf. See, I couldn't leave him on the floor. I
No,
had to pick him up, right?
very important.
So like you got character art and that kind of stuff. And I used any money that I made off of the hardcovers to fund the audiobook.
Okay.
And so I will be doing that again this year for Under the Stars.
Ooh,
So and Andy and Brandon are going to be narrating book 2 as well. So
yay! I thought they
so
really did
this
your book justice.
they did so good. And you know what? The just like even like their own personalities, like I jive with Andy so well. Brandon and I were like we were picking on each other like through Instagram chat, and it was really good. It was really good. um and when you find people that are so easy to work with, you
Yeah.
can't pass that up. So my plan is I will do the entire series with them. And then when I move on to something else, then I'll look for some other narrators. But I'm so happy that they were my firsts. And because they made it enjoyable and not near as scary as I expected it to be.
Right.
So anyways, so this is the special edition. So it has the foil cover. It has painted edges, like sprayed
Oh,
edges.
I'm a sucker
It
for
goes all the
sprayed
way
edges.
around. And my original design, so I didn't design the cover, but I knew what I wanted. And I originally I wanted the book to be white originally.
Okay.
And so what I did was I did it this way for this, and I just removed my information from it.
That's so
And
pretty.
then over them there. And then on the back, I have quotes. Some of them I can't read here on TikTok, and they're all Wolf quotes. So it says, I think the words you're searching for are yes, sir. I can't say that one. Don't ever hide from me. You've seen what you do to me. Now it's my turn. And I can't say that one either. So,
Those are our favorite kind of quotes.
and yeah, and then I absolutely love the inside. So I did a have pictures at the beginning of every chapter that sets the scene. Um,
Oh,
so it's like there's one of Wolf in here, there's one of Aubrey, but for the most part, it's the location. So like this is how I envisioned Mabel's diner to be.
oh wow.
Yeah,
That's
so
so
it's
pretty.
like that. Yeah,
I love that it
I was
sets the
very
scene.
excited. Yeah, and so the plan is to do the other special editions exactly the same, like same formatting that is, um, and it will just make things very uniform. And when it comes time, so normally like with Kickstarters and special editions and stuff like that, you can only get them in that Kickstarter. And my plan
Mhm.
is that for the second one, I will also offer this as well for those who have missed it the first time. So, and then when
All
the
of Book
third
Club.
one is done, you're like, me. So when the third one is done, you'll have options to get all three in the last one, but then that will be the end of it. So,
I know, because Wendy was commenting she needs it right now. Like, me too.
yeah, you're like, please.
Yes, Frayed Edges is
So
my love
I'll
language as
keep you
well.
informed.
Yes, please. And I know
Yeah.
you said you're going to start the Kickstarter for book two. Do you have a projected release date that you want to do or you're aiming to do?
So, so some things kind of threw off Brandon's schedule a bit. The
Right.
fires in California have not been kind. So originally I was hoping for the spring, but I figure based off of, I want to be able to fund it without needing the Kickstarter. So,
Mhm.
um, that will give like the end of the summer is will give me all the time that I need. So probably the same time as it was last year. So this actually came out in October, the first one. So I'll probably do it like from like June and July, and then they'll record in August, and then have it out at the end of September, Octoberish. So that's what I'm hoping
Cannot
for.
wait. I know we were
And
all
it's
like
like
itching.
after you've say it again. Sorry,
We were all itching for book two.
you're like, give me the second one.
Do you have any
It's
more?
it's just the three for now. So that's that one. Yes, Marissa, it was
That's
funded. It funded
amazing.
really quick. Yeah, and
That
like
speaks volumes.
like it's my debut book. Marissa and and Munchkin, like they've had my back this entire time. The book community has been amazing. Has been phenomenal. I don't get a ton of traction, but the people that I do connect with have been just amazing. I keep saying the same words again. You
No,
know,
I'm so glad that
I'm
you've
not
had
a
a positive
thesaurus. I
experience.
use a thesaurus. It's not in my head.
No,
So,
I'm so glad you had a positive experience. And, it being funded in 3 hours just speaks a volume of your work. Like, we love your work and we want you to be successful.
oh,
So it
thank
just
you
speaks
so much.
volumes. I'm
I just
so
can't believe it's a
excited.
thing that I'm doing. Like I
Yeah.
can't believe like I work in corporate Canada and I'm a facilitator. I talk for my job, my day job, and then I write in my evenings for my side business. And it just wasn't something I expected. It just happened. So, and you know what's funny is I mentioned that like the book that I like threw in the trash, like literally it wasn't even a page. It was
Ugh.
not even a page, right? I didn't know what I was doing, but I still remember what I wrote. I remember the name of the village. I remember her name, and I remember like her like backstory. And she had a pet. I don't know why. I was like, "Ooh, she's got a pet puma," and I was like, "No, she doesn't." So that's not going to happen. But it's definitely more on the fantasy side,
Mhm.
and I'm not really a fantasy. I don't think I'm a fantasy author, and I'm barely a fantasy reader. But that doesn't mean it's not going to turn into something else.
Ooh, she might
So
make
we'll
a
see how it
comeback.
goes. Yeah.
She's gonna come out of the
Yeah.
trash better,
So
right? Like a rise like a phoenix.
yeah, you were like, no, this isn't complete trash. So and I've learned from that experience because there's things that I've written. I'm like, this is garbage for this story,
Right.
but it might be gold for the next one. So
There you go.
I have a document that's just like for later.
Okay.
Because though I wrote them, those are my words. I don't want to
Right.
lose them. So,
No, I'm excited. Yeah, romancy. I think it would be fun.
yeah, yeah, romantasy, yeah.
Well,
But
we're here for your journey, so wherever you write, we will
oh,
read.
thank you. Are you okay if I kind of go into more of the paranormal? Because
We
that's what
love
I'm
it.
working on right now.
Yes,
Yeah.
we read everything.
So you're
We'll
like, I'll just eat it all up.
gobble it up.
Um, yeah. So when it comes to the Stire Cove universe, um, I'm still going to be writing in that universe. It just won't be that particular series. When you get in, oh, actually, in the first book, Aubrey kind of like teases, like, "Oh, were you part of the mafia or something?" So there is a connection. And
Ooh,
so there is a gentleman in Chicago, and he's uh, on the surface,
okay.
but he actually he runs one of the biggest crime families in Chicago behind the scenes. And he happens to be related to somebody in Sire Cove that is not Wolf. Yes, it's Eben and Hazel's story. And so Eben is he's the upstanding businessman. And Hazel, she is kind of like the heiress to a whiskey distillery. So Crossbearer whiskey is in the first book, I think.
Okay.
I may not have called it right out. Did I add it in there? When I re-edited the book before I got before the audiobook. I think I included it. The name of the whiskey
Okay.
that he drinks. Anyway, so that's Eben's whiskey. So
Oh.
it's that story is going to happen, and you will actually get to meet Eben in the third book. So that's happening, and I actually might have a novella on Lola and Henry.
Ooh.
Yeah, I wrote their meet cute, so I think what I might do is write a little bit about how they help bring down Ledger Hayes, because there's a lot where she's working with special agent Forbes. So
Oh.
I'm gonna do that. The meet cute's really cute though. Like
I'm
I
so
I like
excited.
super like it.
So are
So
those all
so
your
yeah, that's
upcoming
what's going on there.
projects that you have? I know you said you can in
So
paranormal.
that's just on the Stire Cove side, like that particular universe.
Okay.
I my current work in progress, it is called Death's Darling, and it is
Ooh.
about um, a gentleman by the name of Magnus, and he's basically the Grim Reaper, and he accidentally reaps the soul of his elderly secretary and has to hire a new one,
Oh.
and he falls in love with his new secretary. But I
Ooh.
will say that this is not the first time he has fallen in love with a human.
Oh.
His beloved died centuries ago. So you can make all the connections that you want on that one. So
Okay.
it will be one of those ones like you will guess what it is, but there's like two twists that you won't expect. So I'm very
Ooh.
excited about that.
I'm excited. When you
And
say
I don't know why.
accidentally, I'm like, how do you accidentally
Yes.
like is it like I slipped in an oh shit moment or
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty much how it works. So, and it's funny how like the names of characters, like I never thought I'd write a book about a guy named Magnus, right? And his best buddies, he's got three best buddies, and their names are Hugo, Oscar, and Felix. I'm
I
like, what?
love
Like,
this.
well, like where are these names come? Like, how old? Like, how old is my soul that these are the names that I've picked? And then I remember that the first guy I came up with, his name is Wolf. Do you want to know how that happened?
Yes, please.
It's one of those things, like it was not planned. I was trying to find a placeholder because I kept saying the guy, right? I had Aubrey picked out right away because that was actually a name on my baby list that my husband had vetoed. And I was
Oh
like, screw
no.
you, it's
I'm
going in
still
my
gonna
book.
use it.
Um, yeah, I'm like, it's going to get used somewhere. Um, so I was looking for a placeholder, and my work wife, her name is Natalie. If she happens to be watching, hey Nat. Um, so we were going through like boys' names lists, and then for some reason we found a list, and it was like Bear, and going down the list, and I was like Wolf. I'm like, can you imagine if I named him Wolf? Like, oh yeah, my name is Wolf, and then we started cracking all these jokes about pups and dog jokes, and then I couldn't stop calling him Wolf. And then all of the jokes just ended up in the book
I love
because
the
of that. Like, that
jokes.
wasn't planned, it just happened.
Oh,
So,
those were so. I was dying laughing. I
I
don't
think
know how many
Sparky's
times
my
I.
favorite.
I don't know how many times
Yeah.
I woke up my husband because I was just outright laughing reading it. And he was like, he'll roll over and I'll be like snorting, and I'm like, it's fine. Just go roll
It's
back
fine,
up.
I'm okay. Yeah. Go back to sleep. I'm
Yes,
okay.
Sparky was
Yeah.
amazing. Do you have any planned signings in the near future or this year?
It's a little tough because I'm in Canada, and
Right.
there's not really a lot around me. And as I mentioned before, like my husband's military, and I've got two small kids. So for me to get away, it's pretty tough.
Right.
So unless it is in Ottawa, I'm not likely to get there. And as of right now, there isn't anything. I really do think for me, signings are something that, like, when I hit my 5 year mark as being an author, where I can prove, like, to myself and to my bank account that, like, I'm legit,
Mhm.
that's when I'm going to be able to kind of do some things. Well, with that said, like, I do have some stock. If people want a signed copy, I can always do that. That's no big deal. I will tell you though, like, shipping from Canada is a pain and expensive, but it's something that I could always do if somebody wants that. And when it comes to the Kickstarter, the special edition is always going to be signed. I will always sign
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Perfect. I'm
So
excited.
because I get it shipped to me, I sign it, it goes out. So
I know when you're
yeah.
gonna see all of us there, be like, "Hi, we need book
I'd be
clubs,
like,
please.
hello, hello.
Remember
I
us?"
would like a copy, please.
And when do you think your paranormal one would come out? Because now I really need to find out how he accidentally read somebody.
Yeah, how did that happen? Say, like, I have not finished the first draft, so I will. Let me give you a little bit of a rundown. So the whole story line started. I was mowing the lawn in the back. I wasn't even listening to anything, and I was just like, just it popped in my head. I'm like, what if Death fell in love with a human? And I can guarantee, like, the story's been done, but not the way I'm doing it. Everybody puts their own little kind of mark on it, right? So then about 2 weeks later, I hurt myself exercising. Good job. Like, so glad
Oh,
that I tried to do something for myself, and I pinched a nerve in my neck, and then
oh,
I couldn't move my arm. So for about 3 months, I didn't write.
wow.
I was in constant pain. It was terrible.
Yeah.
So I thought about it a lot, and then I finally got to write just in November. So between that and Christmas, and my son's birthday is Christmas Eve, so that kind of threw everything off a
Oh
bit.
man.
Um, but like now that I'm still waiting for an MRI, but I'm on medication for the pinched nerve, so I can move. I'm a huge hand talker. You can't see it because it's like mainly off, but I've been like this the whole time.
I am too.
Um, yeah, yeah. So I'm definitely, like, I'm on the mend, and now that Christmas is over, it's like full force. I fully suspect that the book will come out around the same time as the audiobook.
Ooh, yay. Perfect
So,
time for Halloween.
Amber asked a question. Yes, I am going to do one for Under the Stars. Amber asked a question. Yes, I am going to do one for Under the Stars. So I will be my guest the same time next this year as Over the Moon was done. So we'll probably look at the September or October. I'm trying to make like very smart decisions with it, so I'm not rushing in and then like having to be in debt with it. Like I'm trying like
Right.
everything I'm doing. I've the initial investment that I put into everything has already been paid back to me. Do you know what
Right.
I mean? So like Tess Watters has paid back my family.
Right.
So I'm working on my own stuff just out of like my royalties now, and that feels good. And I
Yeah.
don't want to ever put myself in debt for something
Mhm.
like this. So I think if I take my time and go from there.
Yeah, oh yeah, well, you definitely have us as permanent fans because we're obsessed. We were legitimately, like
Oh
I
my
said,
god.
my messages. I went on a field trip today with my daughter, and it was just like boop 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 messages. And I have a friend that's in book club, and she is overseas. She's in England, and so our time
Yep.
difference is a little off. So I woke up to like 15 messages from her, and she was like, "That boy, that ex-boyfriend is so trash." And she was like, just yelling at him in my messages. And I was like, "I know, I agree." And she was trying to stay up because I think it's like 2 a.m. her time right now. She was trying to stay up to talk to you. So hopefully she gets to see this in
Oh,
the
poor
recap. But
thing.
she loved it. She was messaging me nonstop about it, and then so was
Oh,
book club. So we definitely want to read
that makes me
the next works.
that makes me. Did she listen to the audiobook? Because I don't think I gave a
She
UK
did.
one. She
Um,
did? Okay.
so she's stationed over there, and it ended up working.
Oh, get it. I understand.
Yeah,
Okay, good. Because I don't.
I'm actually
And
like husband's military too, so that's how we met.
oh my gosh. Ta-da! There we go. There's so many of us. It's not even funny.
It really is. No,
And
yeah,
that was
she
kind
she
of
was
like one of
obsessed.
the things. Yeah, that was kind of like one of the things that like when my husband decided to join the military, we weren't married yet, but he
Mhm.
joined late, like in his life. We've been together like we're almost at 28 years
Oh,
together. Yeah,
congratulations.
so yeah, like see, like there's like that gray, like that's legit real. I did not pay anyone to do that. That is stress and age. Um,
It looks
um,
fabulous. So.
thank you. I'm leaning into it. That's the plan. I haven't colored my hair since 2021, so
Oh wow, yeah.
this is who I am now.
We're
my
enjoying it.
my husband even asked me the other day. He's like, "So like is this you?" I'm like, "Yeah, it is. I'm not paying for all that stuff." So,
No, plus why
no.
cover it up? It looks gorgeous.
Yeah, I was like, "This is tinsel." Like I'm very festive. I'm
There
festive.
you go.
It's good. Yeah, my daughter
No.
thinks it looks amazing. And like my husband, he has got like one little like tuft of white right here and he looks so distinguished. And I was like, "How dare
Stop.
you?" Cuz I feel
Because that don't
haggard
always
half the
work.
time. So,
They
like,
always
why do
look
you look
better, and you're just
dashing?
like, right?
Mhm.
It's like, how do you look better?
Stresses me
Like,
out.
rude.
Yeah. Inappropriate. I don't
Right?
like
No,
it at
that'll look
all.
better. No, but I
Yeah.
really did love your book, and now I'm really excited to read book two because of how much you spoke about mental illness and having anxiety. 'Cause I mean, I suffer with that as well. So being able to see
Yeah.
representation in your next book makes me excited. I loved how confident she was, the female main character was in the first book. I love how Aubrey just like was like, "This is who I am. You don't like me, that's fine." And I thought that
Yeah.
was such, especially for younger readers, I think that's so important to see that, yes, she's
Mm-hmm.
confident, yes, she accepts herself, but obviously she sees other people, especially like that receptionist, that is just mean
Yeah.
to her for her looks. Like it's real world issues that you can have, but she's not letting it affect her self-esteem and her self-worth.
Yeah.
And having Wolf be like, "Are you kidding me? Have you seen yourself?" I was just like, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well,
Yes.
and there was it took me, so I'm 43. So it took me like 43 years to accept that I am who I am.
Yeah.
And as I said, I have a little daughter, and she is my carbon copy. And if if I can't be confident for me, how am I supposed to be
Yeah.
confident for her? And as I said, like Aubrey is the woman that I would want to be.
Mhm.
I'm going away for a trip at the end of February for like the first time ever. My sister's taking me away. So I might actually come back with like a nice Aubrey complexion. However, I think I'm probably just going to look like a lobster. But I will pray
Hopefully not.
that it calms down to a nice tan. So we'll see. But I like one of the big things for me is that I don't want to read a book where a plus size woman is like, oh, I'm fat, none of my
Yeah.
clothes fit, and like really like, I should lose weight, I should do this, and I have enough of that negative internal dialogue as it is. I needed
Mhm.
her not to be like that, while still being realistic in the sense. So just before the audiobook was being recorded, I rewrote the book. Now, when I say I
Oh,
rewrote it, I just simply mean like I cleaned it up. The first time when you're an author, you're like and especially when you write first person present tense, it's like I did this, I did that, and I was like, oh
right.
no, like that cannot be the audiobook. So I actually added two pieces into the story that made it for me so much more realistic. As confident as she is, there's always those insecurities. So
Right.
the time the when she's in Wolf's apartment in Chicago, and she like quickly grabs the blanket, and that whole "don't hide from me,"
Yep.
that's like I added that. And then at the end when it's right after the marathon,
Okay.
and he basically says like get on top, and she's like no, I'm too heavy for that, and
Yeah.
he's like whoop, like
We're not
shut
doing
it,
that.
right? So and I think that kind of added to the realism of the story. So you can be extremely confident but still understand that you're a heavy girl, and you're
Right.
still going to try to cover your belly every once in a while. It's going to happen.
Right.
So I
Still
really
human.
felt that was important. Yeah,
Hmm.
exactly. I still felt that was really important, but also for her not to have that negative internal dialogue, because the world is too rough right now as it is. The
Right.
last thing I want someone to read something and go like, I'm plus size,
Right.
and I feel so boosted because of this.
Yeah.
So, and
Yeah, I
I
definitely get
hope
that.
that really hits home for people.
I definitely resonated with her character because I just loved how she was just like she owned it, but she was also human. You made her relatable because you're gonna have those days where you like
Yeah.
don't like what you see, but even if you are the most confident person in the world, you know. So I loved that realist part of it that you put into the book. I really appreciated that. And then I loved how he just accepted her as a whole and then understood her insecurities and then was like, I understand you have this, but that's not an issue for me. Like, you're enough
Yeah,
for me
not
and
an
I
issue for
love
me.
you as a whole. And I was just like, thank
Yeah.
you.
Ah. And I like another thing is like like he kind of like there's a little bit of like that insta lust
Hmm.
and insta love with him, but it doesn't not everything happens right away. So I know that I've had some feedback where they're like, the first like 8 chapters, like you don't even see him, but
Hmm.
her story about being in Chicago and everything that happens there, you need to know those things for everything to
Right.
make sense when she gets back home, because Wolf is a string puller. And he
Right.
put like, did you guess some of those things where you're like, what did he do? Did he do any of this stuff?
I had my suspicions once the contract was revealed in the beginning
Mm-hmm.
where like she gets, you know, because
Yep.
in the beginning I was like, okay, like maybe her brother is really just like having her back and convincing this guy to do it. But once the contract got brought up, I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, hold on.
Mm,
And then
yeah.
the whole like, oh, I'm so glad you got out when you did because this crumbled. I was like, that's awfully suspicious, And in my head, I'm like, this man did something. I'm suspicious of him, like in a good way, but like
Yeah.
I'm suspicious. Like, how
I
did you
know.
know this?
It's one of those things like I think maybe one of the best ways, and maybe you can kind of tell me, like, as a reader, what your thoughts are about how, because I have a hard time classifying the book, because yes, it's a contemporary romance, but there are some darker things in there,
Right.
but it's not like the book doesn't give stalker vibes. But
No,
like he
yeah.
did kind of stalk her, right? Like he hired a
No,
PI, right? Like so,
I got the
and he did
more
some of it on his
possessive.
own.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. So I kind of see it as someone on TikTok I had always said like a gray romance rather than a dark romance because
Right.
it's not light and bubbly the whole time, but someone had
Right.
called it a diet dark romance and I was like, "Oh my
Oh,
god." Like I feel like that's what it is because it's not dark, but
right.
it's dark enough for
Yep.
me. For me, I've
Mhm.
determined that that's who I am. I don't think I could write. I don't think I could write anything darker than that. And like even like Nate does some shady stuff. So there might be a moment where you're like, Nate, like, but at the same time you're like, that was kind of hot. Do it again. Um, and Jack does some stuff as well. Um, but Jack and Harper are always on the same page. So, like,
Yeah,
without
good
giving
balance.
it away, like if you're gonna, like, there may be a point where you're like, I can't believe he did that. And then you find out more on Harper's side and you're like, oh, I can't believe he did that. So,
Yeah. That's me
and
throughout every dark
that's what
romance.
I want.
No,
Yeah.
and
So,
like
like,
once it started coming
that's what I
out,
want.
I think the one thing that really like had my head spinning was the whole strings that he pulled with unveiling what her ex was doing. Like I
Mm
read it and I was like, oh my God, he knew, and
hmm.
in my
Yeah.
head, I was like, honestly, I didn't feel him as that like stalker, creepy stalker. I felt him more
Mm
as
hmm.
like that protector, like possessed. He's like, like you're not ready
Yes.
for me yet, but I'm ready for you. Let me just make sure you're
Yes.
okay. And I
Yeah,
loved that aspect.
let me get you in the right spot, right?
Yes.
So when you think of the term alpha man when or alpha male when in romance books, like it does tend to lend itself a little bit to dark romance too
Right.
much. But when you think about what an alpha is supposed to be, the alpha is the protector of the family.
Right.
And when you read book 2 and book 3, you will see that Wolf is the protector of all of them,
I love that.
right? And Aubrey's father is in all of the books.
Ooh.
And Brandon's voice for for Aubrey's dad, Jim, is my favorite. But like, so like his fatherly nature comes out over the whole family as well, like the found family of like the core six. So it's pretty cool.
I'm excited to
Oh my
read the
god, I
rest
can't
of
wait to
them.
you. I So, and something's kind of funny, like the fact that you guys had like a little thread kind of going back and forth talking about stuff that makes me so happy. Because what happens is that after the arcs go out for a book, you get a lot of that as the author. You get a lot of that,
Right.
and you get like the play by play. But once it reaches people, an audience that you don't know personally, you
Right.
stop hearing those things. So for
Right.
me, I'm like, I don't think anyone's reading this book. I don't think anyone is enjoying this book. Should I have even put that book out in the
Oh,
world?
yeah.
The imposter syndrome is disgustingly apparent. It's always there.
Right.
So, and
No,
then I'm
we
like,
we
let's
thoroughly
write a
agree.
paranormal romance and like start it all over again.
I'm excited for them. I'm not gonna lie, it's gonna be on my head rent free until I get it in my hands. Like I
Well,
need to know.
you can focus a little bit on Nate and Violet and
Yes.
that should hold you over for a little bit, because there's definitely for like, I know a lot of people really resonate with the relationship between Wolf and Aubrey, especially the possessiveness. The possessiveness rings true for all three of the guys, and that's why it's called Men of Steyr Cove, right? But let's face it, the women of Steyr Cove are awesome.
Yes.
Like they truly are in all their own ways, except maybe Nicole. She's a little iffy. But
No,
and no
I
hate to
love
any
that.
Nicoles, because like I didn't pull that name like because I didn't like anybody. I didn't do any of that.
No, I
I
thoroughly enjoyed it
could.
because I liked how like the female main character isn't naive and dainty and, needy and rescuing. Like she was
Oh, she's
fine.
definitely not dainty. She's definitely
Yeah.
not dainty.
But I also loved how Wolf was like he wasn't that like you're gonna do everything that I say. He was like gently leading her, like having her come
Hmm.
to her own conclusions. Like about the boyfriend. Like arranging that. Was that a lot? Some people might say yes, but at the same time he's like she needs to know this before getting further in. It was like gently
Yeah.
leading her rather than be like, break up with him now, no questions asked, do what I say. Like he was like, here, let me give you all the information and make your own decision. Because she could have
Yeah.
taken him
Yeah. Well,
back.
she's exactly, yeah, and she's her own woman.
Yeah.
Even in books 2 and book 3, like she's still like she's not falling at Wolf's knees. Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's
Overbearing.
yeah,
Yes, that's the
knees
what I was
at
thinking.
his feet. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's what I loved. I
Yes,
was like,
exactly.
yeah. Yes, see, like I loved how he wasn't like that, and that's like very true alpha male is what I think of, like they're strong, they're
Mhm.
protective, but they also like make it a safe environment for, their companion as well. Like here's you need to kind of see this, I see it because I'm on the outside. Here you go.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and could you imagine if you just met somebody at a barbecue and then he's like, "Oh yeah, just so you know, like your fiance or your boyfriend is cheating on you," and
Yeah,
you just be like, oh, "Who are you? Who are you?" Right?
right.
But at the
So I
same
think
time, I'm
he
like,
he did
he
well.
needs to do it.
Yes.
He needs to be involved in this.
Oh, I had no problem with his actions. I was like, I see, he did nothing wrong. In my
Yep,
eyes, he did
yep.
nothing
No,
wrong.
I think he did. I think he did a great thing. And it was really funny that like how Elijah and Sasha kind of fit into all of the mix as well. I'll probably not write any more about them.
Okay.
But I felt that it was important. Like there is like a high visibility for autism in the book.
Hmm.
My son is autistic, so like that's something that I felt was really important. And I knew that when it came to Aubrey, and for her not like to go to the police about Rory, like there had to be a reason
Right.
why she wasn't going to do that. And like I was trying to think of like what would be important enough. And for me, that would have been, and that's like this right comes right down to like how much of me is in the story and how much I've brought in, my life experiences and some of my family and, things like that. And even in the third book, Silas, who we know is, well, I don't want to ruin it for anybody who may be here who hasn't read it, but we know who Silas is for those who know. Um, and I had like a really cool idea for Silas being kind of dressed up like a pirate,
Oh,
because it's around Halloween. The third book kind of takes place, and my son has always called an eye patch a pie-atch. And I was like, and so like I had a conversation with him a year and a half ago. I was like, hey dude, are you okay if I put that in the story? So I explained who like the little boy was. Again, no cows in any of these books. No cows. Um but and I said like I like this is what the little boy is like, and I kind of want him to say this, and it's something from like from my family, something for him, and he is so honored that that is in the
oh,
book.
I
Also,
love
please
that.
don't ever read it, kid. Don't read it. Please don't read my books, okay?
We'll read it for
So,
you.
well,
No, I'm
yes, we
I'm
will read it
definitely
for
excited.
you. Don't you worry about it.
I'm definitely excited
It's
to dive
yeah.
into the rest of your work. Thank you again for joining us and taking time to talk to us. We
Oh,
definitely loved
thank
your
you for having me.
personality. Thanks. No, it was a pleasure because seeing. your books and your work and then seeing your personality now and seeing how you connected to them is just an amazing experience. So we're very, very grateful for that. We are excited for the next books to go on in your series and the paranormal one. So we definitely
I'm
hope to
very
see more of
excited
you,
too.
and I hope to have you back again once we get caught up in on the rest of your books.
100%. Oh
Yeah,
my God. Yes,
give
have
you
me
more
every time.
feedback.
Every time you have my book, I will be back.
Yay! I'm
I will be a
excited.
regular. I have to write more books just so I can spend more time.
Please do, because we are huge fans.
Please
Like I
do.
said, my phone was blowing up today. Now I'm going to be nonstop talking. Like, how did he accidentally reach someone? Like, guys, we need theories here.
How did that happen? Yeah.
But I appreciate you so much for taking time out of your day to talk to us. Thank you again so much, and I
Oh,
can't wait
thank
to read the rest
you.
of your
Thank you
work.
all so much, and thanks for joining, and I love it. And also I actually got dressed up today
You
just to
look
come here.
phenomenal.
Oh, thank you.
No.
My daughter helped me pick out my earrings. So,
Ooh, they're so pretty. Yes, I know. Ashley's the one that introduced us to you, and we are so, so grateful. So
oh,
I'm so
Ashley is
glad.
amazing.
And if you ever need any more readers for arts or any readers to like
I
promote
know
your
who to
books,
reach out
we
to.
are here for you. So you always
That's
have friends with
awesome.
us.
Thank you so much.
No, thank you, and I appreciate you. So hope you have a great rest of your
I
night. And
appreciate
again for
you.
talking to us.
Yeah, you too. Thank
Bye.
you. Bye. I don't know how to get out. Okay. Oh, I hit just hit